Thank you to those who are listening live, and thank you to those who will be listening later. Cafecito Con is a show where we invite guests to inform us, enlighten us, and inspire us by sharing about themselves and the spaces they step into and make their own. We are your hosts, Delila Vasquez and Rosa Martin Munoz, an intergenerational duo hoping to bring you conversations about women in our community, with women in our community, and for women in our community. We call our talks Cafecito Con to have an open forum for a variety of conversations and content. We want to share a cup of love and create spaces for womanhood, to chat, to learn, to grow. We want to reclaim our spaces of conversation about each other. We are not gossiping or chismeando, we are compartiendo, sharing our stories. More importantly, we're giving our best to each other. We'll talk about faith, life, business, hopes, and dreams. At least that is our dream. Today we have with us Maria Echeverria, a woman of my own heart, a good friend of mine, someone who I have shared many cafecitos with, in tears and laughter and hope. I hope you enjoy the conversation. She's definitely someone I admire and respect. Let's listen in.
One of the things that is fascinating to me, how through life, every experience that I've lived, it feels like every experience has prepared me to my current role. The good, the bad, and the everything in between. It's almost like God has been forging the path on my behalf. As you heard, I am a woman of faith, so if I talk about God and my faith, that's a really big deal for me.
Can you explain more about your current role?
Well, I have been Vice Chancellor of the Diocese of San Bernardino. I've been working for the diocese for 31 years now. And yes, I'm in my 60s, so figure out the math.
You're young.
Um, thank you. Um, I have been Vice Chancellor for 15 years, and in that role, um, I have come to oversee so many different things, the houses of retreat, the missions, um, the women's the status of women in church and society, um, the apostolic organizations, all the Catholic organizations in the diocese. And for those who don't know, the diocese is all of San Bernardino and Riverside counties together. We have 1.7 million Catholics. Um, so to oversee all of that at this level, it's mind-boggling at times. I oversee all the ethnic affairs. We have offices for African American, Hispanics, of course, the Native American, the Asian communities, and I oversee all of those for the diocese, among many other things. So I keep busy.
So, one of the things that we do in this show, Maria, is we talk about stepping into different places, and we really walk away from this idea of wearing different hats, which is common in the greater culture, because we see that as a cap, something that might hold you. As women, what we see is putting on the shoes, right? So we step into places with different shoes. And you know me, I love the high heels. So, but there's times when that is appropriate and there is time when that is not, right? So I know that you have stepped into different places advocating for women and advocating for inclusion and understanding, but more importantly for patience, right? Because not everyone can hold the knowledge of all of what is out there. But if we are patient enough, we might learn enough to be able to be immersed or to be able to be invited. I know that you work with many cultures, including indigenous cultures here in San Bernardino, and you have been very involved also with the immigrant community, those families who are coming in. So what do you do to change how you step into these places? Because you might be having a board meeting at the diocese, and then you have to go to a shelter, right? So what happens inside of Maria's head so that she says, okay, I you just simply go and let it flow?
So I try to just stay true to who I am, because I bring everything that I have wherever I go. I don't stop being a mother. I don't stop being an immigrant when I'm in a board meeting. Um, when they're talking about what is good for the faithful in the parish, when I speak, I'm the vice chancellor, but I speak as a mother. I speak as a grandmother. So when I give my opinion, all of that comes with me. Both being a woman, being a mother, being an immigrant, being a Latina, being, an older lady, all of that is part of who I am. So that all comes with me. I don't leave anything behind. I don't change who I am to be accepted in one at one table or the other. This is what you see is what you get, for better or for worse.
Sounds authentic to me.
Right?
Right, you have to be authentic, and we can't pretend to be something else, because that doesn't move us forward. We have to be true to ourselves, and that's it. You want me, you'd get all of me.
Which takes me to another part of the law, right? Why do you do the things you do? I know that, if I may, and I might be overstepping my boundaries here, because I know you personally, right? I know that you're a woman that lives and has lived through different kinds of pains, and you still come and you still are present, and you still are a force that advocates for equality, for women's voices to be heard. So why do you do that? What is it that inspires you to do that?
Truthfully, I don't see that I have a choice. Um, God, God has given me experiences, and He's put me in this place for His purpose, for a reason. And I think it's the pains that you're talking about, the experiences that I lived through, that have made me more compassionate towards others who have experienced or are living through the same things that I am. I have fibromyalgia, and I live with physical pain on a daily basis. Because of that, I am more compassionate to people who have, you know, issues, whether physical or mental or emotional. Understand that when you see someone, you have no idea what that person is living through or what makes them be who they are. So I think that's made me a more compassionate person in dealing with others and trying to be more understanding um, to them.
Maria, do you think it was your compassion that drew you to your faith and being actively involved in the church? Or was it the other way around? You feeling that purpose of, hey, I want to be involved in the church, and that made you more compassionate?
The the wanting to be part of the church has always been there. Even as a child, I wanted to. I've always been close to what we now call ministry. Back then, it was just helping a church. That's what it was. And at one point in my life, I thought about being a nun. I tried it out for a
I don't
while.
see you as a nun, but okay, that's me.
Well, there are nuns and there are nuns, women.
True, true.
And I would have still been the woman that I am now. I would still that kind of nun. But deep down, I knew that I wanted to be a mother. That was the biggest desire in my heart. To I wanted to serve God, but I wanted to be a mother as well. And God found a way to give me both. I have been serving the church for, like I said, 31 years officially full time. And I did become a mother and a wife. I have been married now for 37 years, and working for the church for 31 out of those years. God has given me both. But the desire to serve God has always been there. And it's serving God. Some people think it's just praying and all that, but serving serving God to me is serving each other and
Mhm.
helping others. And it's not about um, climbing the ladder or being important, but helping others be there as well. As women, I've come to understand that sometimes we are, I think, from my perspective, we are more competitive than men are, and especially with each other. We try to outdo each other. If you're wearing the Louboutin high heels, I want something better than that. I don't know why we do that. I don't do that anymore. Mija, if you want to wear the high heels, knock yourself out. I don't, I don't have to outdo you. I don't have to outdo you. I need to be comfortable in my own skin. And so I don't know if it's because of working with the church or at my age. I moved on from that competitiveness, and I'd rather see younger women climb, younger
Yeah.
women recognize their value. I've been in this man-dominated field for most of my adult life, and I've never shied away from who I am as a woman. I don't try to speak like a man or act like a man. I am very much, like I said, be genuine, be who you are. Let me say this: the church does not need what women have. The church needs what women are.
Ah,
That's
I love it. Love it. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that there is a time in our lives where we can turn the page, and maybe younger generations are more comfortable doing it sooner. And I'm talking about those competitive spaces that you spoke
yeah,
of, right? Because
yeah,
there used to be, or there is sometimes an environment where to uplift yourself or uplift others, the reaction is to push someone down, right? And
yeah.
I think that we are in a different time frame and a different community understanding, so to speak, where what we see is that when we uplift each other, we get elevated with them, that we don't have the need of stepping stones, right?
Delila, are you saying the younger generations were more about peace and love and
I think that I think that there is a little bit of more accommodating of differences than
were
when Maria, and I am a lot younger than you, Maria, but I'm younger, no.
I wouldn't say a lot. I wouldn't say a lot. I are younger, but I would say a lot. But anyway, see, Rosa,
definitely inclusive.
yes,
Inclusive.
yes. I came from a time that I had to fight my way up, fight for everything that I have. You have to attain things. You have to prove yourself. You have to um, do work twice as hard as the men do in order to be at the same level. I would like to say that those that came before me have made it easier for me, and those in my generation have hopefully tried to open the avenues a little wider for the younger generations. And so by the time it gets to the 20 somethings, I'm not saying it's any easy and that it's easy. No, it's not. But I applaud that you have come to the understanding of younger, because we thought we had to argue our way through.
I agree. I agree. I think newer generations were more inclusive. We have other people in mind. And of course, there are exceptions to this. But I absolutely see how it's the previous generations that, especially a lot of women that chose to, what I like to say, lead with love and compassion, empathy, that have made this world a better place.
I
You know
think
what?
it's a very opportune for you, Maria, if you would share the story on how you started your college education. Because I think that exemplifies this.
It's like, okay, um, I'm from the 50s, the late 50s, but 50s nevertheless. And in my world, as a Mexican young woman, the expectation was that I would grow up, get married, have children, make lunch for my husband in the morning, and clean the house, and um, do everything in the house. That was the only expectation, that I would grow up, become a wife and a mother. And there's huge, huge responsibilities with that. But it was never an expectation that I would have a career, that I would go to college or do all that. So when I decided that I wanted to go to college, I talked to my dad, and he said, "What for?" Um, and I thought, "What do you mean, what for?" And uh, basically, he thought college education is a waste on a woman, on a girl, because she's just going to get married and have kids. So why do we need to waste our time and money, in that? But I insisted. So I told my dad that I wanted to sign up at the community college so that I could take nutrition classes and cooking and sewing and all the home economics stuff, right? And my dad said, "Oh, okay, then I could see that, I wanted to be good at the cooking and all of that stuff." So he let me apply for the college. So I went to the college to sign up, and lo and behold, all the home economic classes were full. So I had no choice but to sign up for business courses. You know, those were open. So I told my dad that they were giving priority to students that were already enrolled, and so I was just going to take some classes, whatever was open, and then the following semester I could sign up for the home economics classes. So of course, by the next semester, my dad was already used to me being in college, and I don't remember if I ever took one single home economics class. I ended up with a
Whoops.
double major in business administration and public relations. So that's what I ended up with. And so my dad had to get used to me, being in college and doing all that. And it was, remember, again, the times were I came from a very strict home. I was not allowed to have a boyfriend until I graduated from college. My dad was, "Okay, you want to go to college? Then that's what you're going to do." So I was not allowed to date. I was not allowed to go out with anything like that. And guess what?
College gave you everything.
I met my husband in college. And yeah, met my husband in college, and we're still married. Thanks be to God. So yeah, well, you got to do what you got to do. Follow your dream.
No, it's important.
Follow
I
your
think that,
purpose.
yeah, I think that you, with your experiences and then on your work, exemplified this idea of advocacy, right? And as you said, sometimes it's hard because you know what the next step is where you want to be, and how do you get there if you have not been given the skills and you haven't been shown the path. Then you do what you can, and that's what you do. But it's great that you have been able to live this life, and now you have all this wisdom to share with us.
Another thing that I've learned is to pick my battles.
Mm.
To pick my battles. Sometimes we want to do too much too soon, and it doesn't work out very well on the long run.
Maria, so I was raised Catholic, and it's still the way. I still go to church with my family, and of course, just like a lot of others of my generation, I question some of the beliefs. But are you able to share any of those battles that you've picked and choose within your work?
I'm a person of action, and our church traditionally moves very slowly on any issue, very slowly. And I want to hurry up, and there's an issue. Okay, let's put our heads together, and what are we going to do about that? And they want to, okay, let's have a consultation, let's talk to various groups, let's pray on it, let's talk about it. And oh my gosh, I want to, well, meanwhile, the need is there. Meanwhile, the people are hungry. So those are the kinds of issues that I've had to deal with. But again, if I want results, sometimes I just have to go with the flow. Sometimes I'm able to move things along a little bit faster than some people are comfortable with. Um, but sometimes I have to go with the flow, or else it's not gonna get done.
That's how the Women's Council was formed, right? You
Yeah,
started that,
yeah.
which now it's not needed. So tell us a
Right.
little bit about
We used to have in the diocese the Women's Commission, and that is because back when it was started in the 80s, there were no women in leadership in the diocese in the church. Um, all the curia, the board of directors, everything was men. Um, if there were any women, it was nuns. And so Bishop Straining, and he was our founding bishop, he felt that he needed to have a body of women that could give him insight and information about the needs of women in our diocese, which was, quite the pioneer at that time. Because who asked women what they needed? Who asked women what they wanted? They just did everything without, they know better, right? They know what we want, they know what we need. But our founding bishop, in his wisdom, thought, no, I would like to hear from women themselves. Um, and so this commission was formed for women to get together and talk about the needs within the parishes, within the homes, and give that input to the bishop so that he could bring it to the diocesan offices. And for example, I'm being told that the women would like to have some classes about what to do with their teenage kids who are experimenting with drugs, maybe having some parenting classes, or listen to those needs, for example. So the commission was formed back in the 80s, um, in order for women to have some sort of input into what the diocese, what the parishes are, what kind of programs are going to be created. So that was the the connection with the women through this board of through this group of ladies. Now, move, you know, 20, 40 years later, we are everywhere. Women we are everywhere. Here in the diocese, you have me as the vice chancellor, who is, I sit at the highest levels of, um, of input to the bishop. I am not only his vice chancellor, I sit at the diocesan curia, and I sit in the bishop's senior staff. So he is going to hear from women whether he's ready or not. I bring it up. We have we have a brand new CFO, but prior to him, we had a female CFO. The head of accounting is also female. The head of formation for the laity is female. The head of the ministries is female. So there are, we are everywhere. So the commission, the purpose for which the commission was created was no longer needed. So we are now there. So thanks be to God, we have seen progress, quite a bit of progress, and we are taken into consideration. Our voices are heard. And like I said, when I speak at those tables at the senior staff, I speak not only as a vice chancellor, I speak not only through my education in theology and all of that, but I speak as a grandmother. I speak as a member of my parish that sits in the pew on Sundays and sees what happens there. I speak as a wife, as a mother of adults who are going through their own issues. Um, we are able to keep the church connected to the heart of the people that we serve.
That goes into our third aspect of the show, which is power. So Maria, you mentioned this influence that you have, but why do you think you have that influence? Why are people listening to you when you are speaking from these different roles? What's different about Maria?
I don't see that there's anything different. You know, you want to give me too much credit. I'm not anything magic. I'm not the savior. I'm just Maria. I was invited to sit at that table by Bishop Barnes, our former bishop. He gave me this role, and I told him, to be honest with you, I told him from the beginning, I am not a yes girl. And he said, I don't need a yes girl. I need someone who tells me the truth. And I vowed to him and I vowed to our new bishop that I would always tell him the truth and the whole truth. So I hide nothing from him. You know, I tell him what I see and what I see lacking as well. I tell him, you know, what the Latinos are talking about and what the women are talking about. I tell him what I see from the different communities that I visit. I just share what I have. And so if I'm invited to sit at the table and speak, I will do that. And I know for a fact that people many times come to me and they share their stories, and I bring them to those tables because it's not about Maria, it's about all the people that I represent.
And there's
I think you do that well, and one of the ways in which I'm thinking that comes to life is in working with the immigrants. I mean, we live in the Inland Empire, and we do have two camps of mentality, right? There are those people who support immigrants and want to welcome and take care of them, but we also have many who oppose the idea and oppose. I remember a couple of years ago, we even had protesters outside the doors of where we were welcoming immigrants and giving them shelter, right? But you're very active with that, and you put it out in the public. This is what we need. We have people, and this is what they need. How is that going? And tell us a little bit about where we are with that here in the IE.
We are connected through what we are calling Operation Bienvenida. We are receiving asylum seekers. We have been actively doing that for a while now, and it kind of slowed down during 2020 for obvious reasons, but it's just picking up again. That we are receiving. We have two camps, one that we are running in the low desert in Mecca, and we are now receiving the average of about 100 people a day, and the needs are varied because what we are receiving are families. Some families it's a single mother with one or two or three children under 10. Sometimes it's mother, father, and one child or several. Sometimes it's a father and his son. But we are seeing families mostly from South America right now. We are receiving families from South America, some from Central America, but also from many from Brazil, some from India, from Haiti, from many parts from Africa as well. So we are receiving them. What we are doing in Operation Bienvenida is these are people who have come across the border and asked for asylum because in their home countries there's violence or there's different things going on. So they are asking for asylum under political needs or violence. And so they turn themselves into the Border Patrol seeking asylum. Border Patrol does the process and gives them an appointment that for them to see a judge later on and plead their case. So they are here legally. They did not enter the country illegally. They came through a legal process of asylum, seeking asylum. So they are given a time to see a judge later on. In the meantime, they set them free. We welcome them. We give them clothing. We give them food. We give them, we provide shelter for them um, until we get them in contact with family members. Most of them, 90 plus percent of them, already have someone here in the United States that is waiting for them. It could be a family member, it could be a close friend. So when we receive them, while they're getting cleaned up and being fed and all that, we get a hold of their family member here. We contact them, we put them in contact with family back home if they have a way of communicating with them to let them know that they've arrived and they are safe, because some of them have come through very unsafe ways into the United States. Some of them have been traveling from Brazil, on foot, on land, on any way that they can, have been traveling for months to arrive here. They came with nothing. Some of them left their homes overnight because the day before they killed people, their neighbors, because they wouldn't turn in their teenage son to fight for the guerrilla or something like that. So they left in the middle of the night with nothing but the clothes on their back, and they have been traveling this way. So we welcome them. We give them a place to take a shower, continue on their way. Um, right now, as a matter of fact, as you said, I'm quite active. Every day I post on my Facebook, we need clothing for men, we need clothing for children. Yesterday after work, I went to thrift shops and I spent some money in buying clothing for little boys, because right now they're asking for little boy clothing, or they need dry milk, leche nido. It's very, very common, or baby formula. 2 months ago, my husband and I went through thrift shops and bought 8 bassinets because they were getting infants. So we, we, we do this as much as we can. And I ask friends, family, sympathizers to help us out. When you go to the grocery store, just throw in an extra can of whatever, or throw in an extra package of diapers. Everybody can help a little bit.
So what do you say to those who say that is wrong? That's not your job. That's not something that we should be doing. That's somebody else's problem. What do you say? How do you respond to that?
As Christians, we are. What did Jesus say? Love one another as yourself. These are brothers and sisters. They may have come from a different place in the world, but they're still our brothers and sisters. If these were your blood brothers and sisters, would you do that? Would you turn them away if your brother said, I have been traveling on foot for 3 months, I'm hungry? Would you close the door on them? What would you say to Jesus, to the Lord, when you get up there and they say, hey, what happened here? You sent them away, but you want in? Hello. It's our duty. It's our duty to look for one another, to take care of one another. We are, as I was saying at the beginning, we are the village. We say, it takes a village, but whose village? We are each other's village. If we don't help each other, we have no right to be praying our Father and asking for forgiveness and asking God for anything, because His help, sometimes it comes from each other.
Yeah, I know. And you and I have common friends who disagree with some of our thinking, and I have seen you explain the facts just like you did right now. And I think that that's where your leadership shines, that you don't take the question or the challenge as an attack personally. You take a breath and then you think, okay, how do I respond? And you do, and you respond in a way that puts forth the facts, because we don't have to agree, but we certainly can and should help build understanding and then behave from there, right?
You're right. We don't have to agree. We don't have to agree with every single thing that is out there. What we cannot do is disrespect each other. If there's someone who fully opposes what we are doing in helping the needy, and that's what we're doing. We're not following any partisan values. We're following gospel values, and the gospel tells us that we are to be there for each other, that we are each other's brothers and sisters. If I can't pass the buck, to others, and I can't even say, I've already put in thousands of dollars in my own pocket. It's your turn to do that. It's not like a quota that I have to fulfill. It's not, I've been doing this for 30 years. It's time to turn it over to someone else, because I'm responsible and accountable to the Lord for what I do, not what my neighbor did or did not do. I'm accountable for my actions.
You put that in terms of theology, and I agree with you. I mean, that is definitely the way that we live our Christian life. The thing that I love doing and why I love working with Rosa, it's because the younger generation, the people that are the women that are coming up may not see it as part of theology, but it's definitely ingrained in what you do and how you see the world, Rosa. And I don't mean just you, I mean
my generation.
Yeah. That desire to be inclusive, to open the doors. I mean, why judge? Why say, okay, you're okay to come in and you're not okay to come in when you don't know the heart and the insights?
I wouldn't say, oh, it's because of the gospel. So I wouldn't use those words, but I would just say that's just part of being a good person is if you see someone else struggling, suffering, are you just going to continue kicking them? So there is a difference in the words that we use, but exactly, Delina, still the feelings are there, that compassion is there.
I love that. And the fact that, the 30 somethings, I have young adults, my children are in their 30s now, and their friends are multicultural. For many of us growing up, we made friends with other Latinos. And my children, they're not children in their 30s, but my kids, their friends are from all over the world, and they don't even stop to think that they're Filipinos or they're African Americans or they're, from India. They're just their friends, and they are so used to eating each other's ethnic foods that everything goes. Everything goes. I love that.
And I think that the place for us to be as mature women is one of allowing ourselves to learn. My kids are constantly putting me in check. My kids are constantly, Mom, do you know how wrong it is what you just said? And it just comes out because I'm playing around or I'm just being me, right? I used to have this phrase that I would tell my kids. We would be walking out and I would see something or someone dressed in a way that I didn't approve. So I would say, oh, they don't have a mirror or someone that loves them. And my kids are so quick to put me in my place. Maybe they just feel comfortable that way, Mom. Why do you have to be so judgy?
Yeah,
so guilty.
Because that's what we learned. That's what we learned. I remember my mother, may she rest in peace, saying things, no tiene vergüenza. That's shameless to do that. And so we can't help it sometimes. We can't help it. And I'm sure sometimes I say things and oh my gosh, I can't believe I said that.
I am absolutely guilty of checking my parents, especially my father, always questioning the things that he's saying and the intention behind it. And I know I know he knows my reasoning is right. So it's a two-way street, trying to understand where's the intention really coming from? What do you really mean? And then where is that original statement coming from as well? But
Yeah.
we're learning from each other.
In our generations, the older generations, we're learning that um, even though we sometimes say things, well, back then it was okay to use certain terminology because everybody was using it, and we sometimes want to hide behind that, well, I didn't mean it that way. Back when I was growing up, it was okay to use that word. It was okay to call him that. um, well, it wasn't right then. It's not right now, and we can hide behind those things. But as Delila was saying, some things are so ingrained in some of us that when you least expect it, you hear yourself saying things that others may take in a different connotation than you made it, than you meant, and we have to hold ourselves accountable, for that. And we are bad sometimes. There, we still have a lot to learn, and I want to say your generation, Rosa, is helping us. Keeping, there's nothing wrong with keeping each other in check. We learn from each other. It's not that we've learned so many things and we know better. We have a lot to learn from your generation.
And I think with my generation, I mean, yes, keeping ourselves accountable, but also remembering those intentions and being willing to forgive.
Sometimes I say that it's easier to ask for forgiveness than to ask for permission, and we 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 hide behind a lot of those things. In Spanish, we have these dichos. This I don't even know how to say a dicho in Spanish.
Saying,
That
Right.
Yeah, sayings like no hay mal que por bien no venga. There things we hide behind those things, and it's not right. It's not right. Growing up, we learn some things that we need to unlearn, and learn better ways in which to express something we want to say. Even if we say, "Oh, I didn't mean it that way," it's not how you meant it; it's how it was received. So we need to retrain our minds and retrain our speech patterns, and that we are learning from you. So thank you for that.
and we are coming up to the end of the show. I know we only have a few more minutes. We do have one last aspect that we go over, which is faith, and your whole purpose, profession has to do with your faith. Is there anything you'd like to share regarding the symbols or rituals that make up your faith? And for me, this is part of the reason that I've joined this show, is because I am the younger generations where we have technology. Yes, I can help you with the clubhouse. Everything's super fast paced, evolving, but because everything's so fast paced, I don't feel that I get to take the time to do as my parents and the previous generations. And I want to dive deeper into my own spirituality, and it's something that I'm exploring. Can you share more about yours? And it doesn't necessarily have to be, specifically to the church, but what symbols and rituals are important for you, Maria?
I think you touched on a very important thing, and that's time. Everything in now is instant, and we even get impatient if we're coming on and my Wi-Fi is slow or my connection is slow, and you're talking about milliseconds, milliseconds. It's taking 3 milliseconds too long for me. I want to hurry up. It's something's wrong, and everything we want immediate. Even the microwave seems to take too much time now, and I think we lose something in that. Taking time off to reflect, it's not a usual thing anymore. Just taking time to think about things is what we call reflection. think about it. And you don't have to make a decision the instant you are asked a question. Think about it, pray about it. And God doesn't follow our timeline. We're asking God for guidance. you know, it's like I've been asking you for 3 days now, God, and I still don't get it. God doesn't follow our timeline. Sometimes the answers take too long for our humanness, but the answers are there, and sometimes they're not going to come in a text. They're not going to come in an email. They're going to come in the silence that we give that intention. For me, my spirituality is in nature. It's not so much in going to church and kneel and pray, and not to say that that's not valuable. That's very valuable. But for me personally, I find God when I'm in the quiet, when I'm in nature. The most sacred part for me is um, at the near the ocean, at the beach, listening to the flow of the water. I hear His voice and feeling the breeze on my face. It's like His gentle touch on my face and on my head when I just need to be held. I have a very responsible role in life, in all the many roles. People come to me for answers. People come to me to resolve issues. And sometimes I just want to be held. I just want God to hold me in His arms, and for that I need to go away from the noise, go away from the people, go away from the deadlines of the calendars and technology, and go to a quiet place when I can feel His touch, when I can hear His voice. And sometimes all I need is for Him to just say, "It's okay, Maria. It's okay. You don't have to do that. You don't have to be anything other than yourself. You don't have to be the best mother, the best wife, the best anything, and live up to people's expectations and my own. Sometimes I put such high expectations on myself, and I'm gonna fall short because they're so high up there. I'm not Superwoman. I'm not Wonder Woman. I'm just, you know, Maria that is in her 60s, that is moving slower, that it's has to, takes longer to get up from the chair. And I need to cut myself some slack. And sometimes I need God to remind me of that the expectations are not His. He just wants me to be happy. He just wants me to love and be loved. And I need quiet. I need to disconnect to get to that point.
Maria, I feel like you've just led me through a meditation. I'm instantly calm and you've just soothed my soul. I have an event later, but I forgot about that right now. Thank you, Maria.
Yeah.
That's my spirituality. That's where I find my strength, my vitamin. That's the vitamins to my soul.
I like what you said. I totally relate to that, and I describe it a little different whenever I can. It's when you're quiet and you turn off everything around you so that you can be in touch with your inner self. You connect with the Holy Spirit, and what happens is as if when you're driving and your windshield is dirty and someone comes and cleans it, you all of a sudden can see everything. That's what happens in that moment of silence. Yeah, and in that moment of silence, you find answers, you find solutions, you find the path to go. So thank you very much for that. That was wonderful.
You're very welcome. And like I said, let's not compete with each other. Let's lift each other up. There's room for everyone, and we're not always going to be there. We need to empower those that come after us to keep going and go further than we ever could.
Continue leading with love and making this place a much, much better place. All right, Maria, thank you so much for joining us. You did mention a couple of programs for donations. How can our listeners get more involved, give back, be a good person, how can we find these organizations and you know, do our part to donate?
You can do that if you like at the diocesan website. There's some connections there. Is the www.sbdiocese.org. But you don't even have to go that far. I mean, do that, please. We need that too. But start at home. Start with yourself. Be kind to yourself. Cut yourself some slack, as I was saying. You know, we try to do everything at once, and just be kind to yourself, and you're going to find yourself being kinder to others as well. So charity begins at home, they say. So start there.
You're speaking to my soul, Maria. I just realized how important self-compassion is. It's great to be compassionate to others, but we have to start with ourselves. Thank you. Again, thank you for joining us, and thank you to all our listeners. We have come to the end of the show, but as we normally do, we want to leave you with a quote for today so you can go back and about your days. So here it goes. To love our enemies goes against everything every nation in the world commands. We ignore this commandment because we do not want to get in trouble for opposing our nation. Let us enter to love.
Cafecito Con is a production of two intergenerational women who hope to bring you conversations with women for women. You can listen live every other Thursday at noon by connecting with us via the Clubhouse phone app. You can download the app and look for us by our name, Cafecito Con. You can follow Cafecito Con to get alerts of our upcoming shows. We encourage you to follow us and keep listening. If you'd like to send us a message, do so via Instagram at 2cafecitocon. That is number 2, CAFECITOCON. All in one word, 2cafecitocon. Feel free to share and keep listening.